So I'm an entrepreneur before being an investor, to be honest, and investor is just another small facet of my career. But I am first an entrepreneur, and I started in 1997. It was a college startup. Initially started off to fulfill the need of some extra cash while in college, what you call pocket money, and obviously passion for internet, which I got exposed to in 1996-97, which was internet was a new phenomena, and the moment I kind of got connected to it, I felt that this is where my career lies because it connects the world and it opens the possibilities, globally, and the opportunities can be immense. And the more I explored it, the more I went down the rabbit hole, which actually internet is like a rabbit hole. And the more I was sure that I don't know what exactly I will end up doing, but this is what I want to do. Initially I taught people how to use internet. I installed internet at people's home. I in fact went and sold hosting. I went and sold this basic web design. So I've done all the mundane jobs that you can think of in the initial days, till I found I found a product market fit, as you call it in startups parlance nowadays, that there was no reseller hosting in Eastern India at that time. And I launched my reseller hosting, and within months, I was the largest hosting provider in Eastern India. And I almost captured more than 80% market share in this area. And but then I decided to take a break, did some studies, and came back. And by the time it was 2000 end, and the whole market share was gone because the biggest disruptor of all times, the dot com boom happened, and it also went to a bust. So my market share was gone, and I had to start again. And this time the focus was more on, can I do some web design, more value add services, and I did that. I focused on that. And there again, I figured out that over a period of time, I figured out a very interesting area where companies globally, small businesses would like to outsource their web design for a low cost, but with a guarantee that the money would be refunded if things are not done right. And I also discovered a very interesting search engine called goto.com, which is actually the first pay-per-click search engine in the world. They introduced the concept of pay-per-click. So I married these two concepts, and I was able to bag one web design order of $275 for my cost of customer acquisition equal to $1.
Wow.
and
Okay.
and we scaled that model up, and at a point where we were getting 30 to 35 orders a day,
Oh,
and
wow.
the whole business went through the roof. And then we kept inventing. So one thing I learned in this whole process was that innovation and new ideas is a continuous thing, and that is why I put very little emphasis on an idea, because your one idea cannot get you anywhere. You must have the ability to continuously churn out ideas to keep furthering your organization, because one idea can only take you so far, and then that idea will go past its expiry date. Can you bring a new idea to kind of reignite the curve from there on? So I think that is very,
Yeah.
very critical, and that was a learning very early in my career, because of all the experiences I had at that time. And that is also something I also very, very clearly look into an entrepreneur is, when I have also become an investor, that does this person has the ability to think through problems, think through solutions, and does he come up with innovative, interesting ways to solve problems? Because at the end of the day, your innovative, interesting way to solve problem is equal to an idea most of the time, right? So that is something which is very, very crucial for me. Is this person too stubborn about, I have a great idea and that's why my business will be successful, or is he able to really invent ideas on demand? This is very, very important. Yeah. So, I mean, there are lots of example, again, I think I would not like to just cite one entrepreneur, but again, I think this is a very common thread in people's life. And I could only I could only give my example in this because I know my situation in depth. I'm sure every entrepreneur goes through this struggle. A lot of times they don't speak about it. So I would not even know until a lot of times when a guy has really reinvented himself or reinvented his business. But, people do have to go through this cycle. In my opinion, again, getting investment is one thing, but I think first getting to a point where you should raise investment is the most important thing, right? And that is the point where you first validate that business to yourself. is this business worth doing, right? Is this business something that is going to solve a problem, right? Because when you are raising money saying that I'm going to solve a problem, right, you should be yourself sure that this is going to solve the problem. And again, as I said, we have terminologies in our startup ecosystem, and very interesting one here called product market fit. So you need to figure that out. Is this problem worth solving? Number one, does it really take out pain, and does this solution result in some cash flow of value from the customer to the service provider or the product owner? And last but not the least, is this problem something which is universal, or at least universal for the TG that you are targeting? Once you have figured that out, I think that is the point when you start reaching out to someone that I want to really now scale this business, because money can scale a business, and money can scale a good business, and money can scale a bad business also, right? So money is an accelerator, it's a catalyst. So if you have created a wrong reaction, and if you put catalyst into it, it will create a wrong outcome. So you need to first ensure that the outcome is correct. Once the outcome is correct, then you accelerate it by putting money, by beg, borrow, steal, whatever you want to do, you do it. And till the point you reach that this experiment is correct or not, I think you have to either put your effort, or you have to take money from friends, families, and fools. That is, I think, the only way out. Now, there are very interesting large problems that people try to solve at times. For that, to even validate that if there is a problem that is worth solving, or if this can be solved, you have to experiment and really invest in R&D a lot, right? And there are very, very few problems of that sort. For that, you can raise money, but there you have to also show the ability that you have the ability to solve this problem, right? That you are, and that is where I say that is there the problem, problem entrepreneur fit. This means, does this entrepreneur has the ability to solve this problem, or does he show off, does he exhibit tendencies which gives us a understanding that he has a positive probability of solving this problem. And in that case, you can definitely raise money. And if you have shown such kind of a trend, people will put in money. And there's a lot of money chasing good people. But you have to, in today's world, it's just not an idea. You have to put some kind of a proof, either of past ability to execute something like that, or some kind of a solution, and and the execution of that solution to some extent, and a basic proof that this solution is going to solve something. So there are two suggestions I can give, because I have never raised money, so I cannot give you a process. I cannot give you a cheat sheet, right? Though I have invested, but I have never ever raised money. So again, I have a lot of regard for those people who are able to raise money, because I have no proven ability of doing so. So number one is, I think this whole raising money is, unfortunately, has become a closed door kind of a club, right? You have to break into that club. You have to break into that secret society, or I would not say secret society, but maybe more of a privileged society. You have to break into that, and it's not rocket science to break into that, right? So there are gates to break into this private societies, right? So there might be accelerators, or there might be programs in which you become part of, and then you get visibility, and then you have to open up and speak to people and show the conviction that you have in your solution, and make them see the big picture. So that can open up the whole the spectrum for you, the horizon for you to go and meet more people, because again, it's a very tightly knit society where one person knows a lot of other people, and a lot of other people know a lot of other people. So you will have to then use your networking ability to reach out to multiple people through one person, and then again keep repeating this till you know a lot of people, and your ability to sell your dream is very critical there, right? And what you are doing. So until and unless you are doing something serious and something aggressively, even being part of the society won't help you. because they are also very very keen to listen from those people who are doing something interesting and who are making good progress, right, and who can have good conversations, right. So this is very very important. So that is one way of getting into this. Second way I think is to understand who invests in what. So, for example, if my thesis is to invest in SaaS companies and D2C companies, right? So, if someone is working on D2C, he has to find out that how do I think about D2C? So, the more he knows about the particular investor, so it is not a spray and pray game. I think you have to reach out to people who have very specific investment thesis and understand what is his real thesis. So one is the sector understanding, and the second is the what is the thesis of that particular investor. Now the good thing is in today's world, a lot of investors open up their thesis and they actually post it on their blogs and they are very open about it. So once you understand, then you have to see if that thesis really matches your business or not. If it does not matches your business, I mean you can still pitch to them, but your probability of success is very low. So you have to first go and try to pitch to those people whose thesis matches your business model, and then
Yeah.
approach them in a very personal way and relating your entire business model to that thesis. It is very very critical, and then have a
Yes.
conversation. I think that opens up doors and that works very well. To be honest, it's anybody's guess, right? I am not an expert in valuation either, right? I know how to value matured companies. For startups, again, it's very difficult to value a company, and I have seen companies in two different markets. So, for example, a company with similar traction, similar quality founder being built in India, and the similar traction, similar quality founders being built in US, and the valuation is different by almost 4x, and it's crazy, right? So I would not say that there is really any logic behind valuation a lot of times, right? It's also a little bit about the FOMO in the investors. It's also a little bit about that X factor in the entrepreneur. It's also a little bit about how you set the narrative, because see, when you are raising money, you are raising money for a future, right? Your present really does not define what valuation you actually get most of the time.
Yes.
and
Yes.
and
Got it.
and at the end of the day, see, your traction and your ability to show a clear GTM, and how would you actually get those clients, your clarity of thoughts, and your ability to show that you have a repeatable sales process.
Hmm.
This also makes a big difference in terms of the generating a confidence. But these
Hmm.
are again getting into the logical side of valuation, even for a startup.
Hmm.
A lot of times the startups will also get valued illogically just because someone believes that this can become big, and they have been proven right many a times. So I will not say that they are wrong, right?
Yes.
So in my opinion, I am not a valuation expert, especially on startups, right? And therefore I would rather, you know, do a little bit of a guesswork, little bit of a understanding of how those kind of companies in that markets are valued. I am not an emotional valuer, so I will generally go
Hmm.
by certain thumb rules, certain processes, and obviously look for the for my you know
Strategy fit.
no, my basic thesis about the founder and the company, that I mean I want to make sure that I have ticked my boxes to understand that I am investing in the right company. If they are not making profit because they are trying to grow by keeping the cost at zero, or no cost, and they have proven in some or other way, maybe in a pilot, that if they want to charge, they can charge and make it big, right? Then definitely it makes sense. There is no problem out there. But there are lots of companies, you have rightly pointed out, that they don't have a plan, and it's not even, and they have not tested out any model to make money, and they're just burning money, right? I don't see any future in those businesses, and they definitely hurt the market. And they, in my opinion, they are value destructors rather than value creators.
Hmm.
Basically,
Yeah.
being worked upon on a bigger full theory. But again, I have never built such companies, so I will not like to judge someone who either built such a company or invest in such a company. Though those are my pure personal views, but again, I can be proved wrong, and because I'm ignorant about that, building that kind of business or investing in that kind of business.
Yeah. Fair
So
enough. Fair enough.
even if I say something, it is purely based on my ignorance, I would say. So there are few things I would do if I am a startup and I'm looking at an angel investor. Number one, I will try to understand from the the other startups that investor has invested in, that how they have been treated by the angel investor. Because once the angel investment is done, obviously you are giving some and at times lot of rights to the investor, which can cause a lot of trouble to you if if the person wants. So is this person a troublemaker? Is this person who is very nagging? Is this person who is going to interfere in your business decisions every now and then? Or is this guy going to be a sounding board? Or is this guy going to be a helping hand? Or is this guy going to be an advisor and a mentor and then let you be you? So for me, this will be a very important factor, because I don't want to lose independence in building a business on day one,
Hmm.
right? So this is one of the key factor I would see. Second, I would see if this person can really contribute in my business. Does he have some exposure in the kind of things I do? And if he can contribute, which area he can contribute, right? And how he can help me beyond money, because money is, two people putting the same amount of money is no differentiator until and unless there are other factors which can either increase the value of that money or actually dampen the value of that money. So
Yes.
what is the extra value add this person brings on the table for me? And therefore I definitely, at a personal level also, I value operator investors too much, because I think they are hands on and they are more practical.
Hmm.
And the third is that how well this person can listen, because at times, as a entrepreneur, I will be frustrated, I will be disturbed, and I will go and uh, you know give it all, and and try to kind of get some solace. So is this person able to give me that solace and show a direction? Can he ask the right questions? So that is very, very important, because someone who has gone through a lot, he will be able to ask a lot of questions. And if he cannot ask me questions and he cannot make me answerable, then there is a problem, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, built a business single-handedly, being a sole founder. The biggest problem that at a personal level as an entrepreneur I face is that I don't find many people who ask me questions, who question my decisions, right? And that is a problem. And I think if I start off again and if I look for an investor, I would look for an investor who asks me intelligent questions, which makes me think and take the right decision somewhere. Very simple. I mean, that as I have lived by is that you create value for your customers and your stakeholders, and valuation will automatically get created. And even if it does not get created, it doesn't really matter.
Yes, great. All right, fantastic. Well, thank you so much. It means a lot. I think you've hit a lot of nails today that these entrepreneurs are blank on, and it would help them. So guys, when you're watching this, pass it on to somebody who needs the right information. And then watch it again. It's a process. Don't think of it as just money and then go out there and just try to snatch money from anybody. Uh, Go through the process of it and become a genuine entrepreneur who's providing value, as he said. And I appreciate this. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you so much. Have a good evening. Thank you. Thank you. Bye
Bye.
bye.